Her name was Rita Miller, 35 years old. She came over to Paddock almost a year ago. During the day, she worked over to Mrs. O'Brien's beauty parlor, and at night, according to the local gossip, she slept with almost anyone who paid her price. $100.
$100? She wasn't cheap, was she?
No, but she was worth it.
Everything is ready, my darling. Do not be afraid. And we'll be together again.
L-O-L-L-I-P-O-P spells lollipop.
This sandwich tastes as dry as hell.
And you're not just a funny guy. You're a lame brain, too.
This is all the whiskey you possess?
You should believe in ghosts, P-Brain.
He's a closet! He's a closet!
He's a closet!
Hello, and welcome to Hello, This is the Doom Show. I am Richard, who remembered how podcasting works, and I'm joined by Jeffrey, who actually, for real, remembered how to podcast.
I knew. I helped.
Oh boy, folks, we are going to talk about a film, but before we start, I want to talk about potential new members of the podcast, Spasmo and Gorgon, or Gorgon, depending on which way you swing in this world. Those are podcast cats. We adopted some kittens in the Schmidt house.
Oh yeah, I forgot your cat's names. I was like, Spasmo's a movie. Gorgon is not a movie. What's that?
The Gorgon is a movie though. The Hammer movie.
And as I reminded you, the Gorgo also.
Yeah. We've got all the Gorgs. So yeah, if you hear my wife yelling at a kitten, it's because they're destroying our home. Our home.
How did Spasmo and Gorgon like tonight's film?
They loved it. I got clawed at least once. They were so scared by the film called Edge of the Axe.
Scared, or perhaps they were trying to replicate the killer's MO.
Awful axing method.
Yeah, which is like...
Don't switch instruments right before the gig, bro. If you're used to stabbing people with a knife, don't bring an axe, because you're going to try to literally incision people to death with your strokes.
It's a very limp hacking, yeah.
Oh, I love this. This is 1988 from our old pal Jose Ramon Larraz, who we haven't talked about on this show in a very long time. Oh my God. Brad and I did Symptoms a long time ago, and that might have been it.
Yeah,
I remember we talked about him a little bit, I think, on the Satan's Blood episode, because I thought he directed Satan's Blood.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, that's a movie that feels pretty representative of his general style. Edge of the Axe, not so much.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so
Larraz is like an art house dude, right?
Yeah.
But he also did thrillers to pay the bills, but his thrillers all seem to have a common theme to them. Ladies going crazy.
Yeah.
That's definitely not the plot here. Spoiler alert.
Wow, you ruined it. Right from the friggin' get-go. Why are people even going to listen now?
Ah, shit. Sorry, Arrow. Your sales just plummeted, brother.
Hopefully by the time this episode is released, this film will be available on Blu-ray.
Yes, right now it's available on Internet Ray.
Internet Ray, the guy with the trunk full of movies.
Yeah, VHS tapes. So I found a great trailer for this. Holy shit, I found a wonderful trailer. Just play it. Here's the trailer.
6 women, 1 man. All dead. Edge of the Axe. Gerald's a cool kid with a keen computer. Now that he's met Lilian, the lines of communication are definitely open.
It's called Icarus. You can ask it anything you like.
But the readout spells trouble.
Wait a minute, what happened here?
And murder is the mode.
What shape is that body?
hamburger meat.
A killer is loose, and the whole town's on edge. Edge of the Axe.
Gerald, why do you have the names of all the women who were killed in your computer file?
Ooh, she's coming this way. Bodacious tatas.
Louder, did you have a little something going on with Rita? Rita had your name and number in her phone book.
I'm kind of worried a little bit about it. We found another body this morning. There's some maniac. He's running around chopping women up.
Laura's disappeared. What do you mean? She's gone. Who's Charlie?
He's my cousin. The other night I asked my computer to check the hospitals to find my cousin. And they released him from a mental hospital 2 years ago in Patterson.
You're spending too much time with this girl on those stupid games that you play. You know, you're gonna get in trouble and you're gonna have microchips for brains.
Almost all the women who had been killed, they had worked in a psychiatric ward.
Christopher?
The situation is terminal. Can Lilian deprogram the killer before he catches his next victim?
Well, now you got 2 more, Doc. I tell you, this place stinks of death.
The other night I had a dream, and Charlie was walking towards me smiling. He was carrying a blood-stained axe. He said he was going to kill me. Charlie, is that you?
Edge of the Axe. It's a great night for bad dreams.
So that was the trailer for Edge of the Axe. This movie had multiple titles. It was called Axolution Todlich Begrungenung.
I was hoping it was just Axolution. That's good.
Well, you know what's amazing is that good old Laraz is doing a pseudonym here. Joseph Braunstein.
Yeah, surrounded by entirely Spanish names in the credits. Joseph Brownstein, our director. Okay.
Oh my lord! So let's see. What does this translate to? I'm using the Googly Translate. It translates to Axolution, Deadly Encounter.
Ooh.
So I think they made up a word.
That's true.
The Norwegian title is Passentine, which means the patient.
Oh, that's also accurate.
Yeah. Speaking of spoilers. Let's see, Mexico, I think it's just going to be The Edge of the Axe, but in Spanish. It's on the edge of the axe. I like that. Just even closer.
Love and death on the edge of the axe.
Oh, no. Oh, my God. The Greek is broken. The Greek has broken Google Translate. You know the lamp with that Sakuri. Sakuri?
What the fuck?
Oh, my God. The Sakurio. Folks, I don't know what just happened there, but I'm glad it happened.
Did you want to read the IMDb synopsis? It's a good one.
Yes, I was going to read the VHS, but let's have a look at this this synopsis. Is it one of those one-sentence wonders?
Oh, you bet.
A deranged guy in a mask kills people with an axe. Man, nailed it.
You know, in lieu of the VHS back, I actually wrote a synopsis for this movie.
Really?
Yeah. I wrote this on my blog back in 2013 when I first watched it.
What's a blog, dude?
I don't know.
Is that like a backwards log?
Yeah, I don't know. A boring log.
Oh, bless your heart.
So I'm going to read my log line if you don't mind.
Please do.
A psychopath in a white plaster mask is axing the women of a small Northern California town some deadly questions. Though the cops couldn't care less, there is, in fact, a pattern to this killer's madness, and it will take the combined efforts of a drifter who moonlights as an exterminator, a girl who once pushed her cousin too hard on a swing, and a pair of personal computers circa 1988 to unravel this bloody mystery.
Holy shit, that's wonderful.
It's pretty accurate, I think.
That's great, yeah. Yours doesn't have a key word here. What's on that? The back of the Astral video, it says it's got, you know, little plot synopsis going on, but all of a sudden it goes,
yield. An experience too terrifying for words.
Yield. Like, actually, like Pearl Jam's Yield. Look out.
Yield. I mean, that's also something you say when you're like fencing, right? Yield.
Yield.
Which again is sort of how, like, maybe the killer is a fencer and that's why the killer was holding the axe in such a way. I don't know.
Oh my God. I feel like, I mean, we'll get into how we feel about this movie, but I'm guessing that Jose Ramon Larraz really didn't know what a slasher was, sort of. Like, there was some axe murders in some of his older films.
Yeah.
But, or like just someone going on a killing spree. But this really feels like him trying to capture the essence of the 80s.
He did another movie the year before in 87 under the same
Braunstein.
pseudonym. Yeah, titled Rest in Pieces. That
I've always wanted to see that.
Very interesting.
Oh, I
have not seen that. I did see the one he made right after Deadly Manor from 1990, which is a little, it's kind of, I think, a better synthesis of his normal, somewhat erotic sensibilities with these more cheesy elements that creeped into his work near the end there.
Man. It's funny how all of a sudden more of his films are popping up.
Yeah.
That Stigma and Emma Puertas Oscuras double feature, which if you blinked, you missed getting it. Like, I can't even believe Stigma is on frickin' Blu-ray, much less a film like Emma that I'd never even heard of before.
Yeah, and it's a good one, too.
So great.
They're both really good.
Stigma is one of my new favorites of his. I love it. So yeah, folks, we're going to obviously continue spoiling this in our cheeky manner, even though Simon's not here, and he's the king of cheek, because he's British.
He's got two of them. Cheeks.
Yeah. So this movie opens like every film in the 80s opened at the Sparkle Car Wash.
Yep. You might remember the Sparkle Car Wash Academy series. I like the one where they went to Russia and then washed down Chernobyl. That was good.
Oh, that's timely because of a Netflix movie, TV show,
HBO
series.
But you're forgetting.
Same thing.
You're forgetting.
Hey, man.
Yeah, they cost about the same amount of money. So.
H-bro, am I right?
So the Sparkle Car Wash does seem like a pretty cool place to hang out. You got all these cool teens who hose you down while you pull on your cigarette, and a mouthless axe murderer busts open your windshield.
This is a great sequence. I was watching this bootleg from an old VHS tape on my headphones, and the bass was just kicking like this boom, 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 boom. I was like, what the fuck is going on? It was great. But yeah, what an opener, man. I love this.
I mean, it plays... this is the only movie I can think of that has a suspense scene set inside an automatic car wash. Can you think of any others?
Not really. I mean,
it's definitely playing on the fact like that I remember experiencing when I was a child that, yeah, automatic car washes are terrifying. And, it's scary when you just have like big mops falling down on you. But how about a axe murderer?
You pay extra for that.
I think it's pretty well staged. I do think it's really unfortunate when she gets axe murdered and her blood like spurts and smudges on the inside of the car. It's like, oh, you're never gonna get that clean. I mean, what's the whole point of going through a car wash? But then I thought about the scene a little bit more, and I was like, where were the cool teens during all of this? What were they doing when a man was sneaking in the back of the car wash and murdering a woman?
It's always 420 somewhere.
Yeah. I was like, yeah, smoking weed or playing hacky sack. Maybe doing both. Yeah.
Maybe they installed a video game machine, installed a computer, and they were chatting over the mainframe or something.
What the fuck do they call it? The central terminal. There we go.
The Icarus machine.
Yeah, because they don't know how to say Icarus.
So after this amazing sequence, we cut to what I wrote in my notes as hippie AM Gold barf song.
Well, so here's the thing. I think it's the same woman singing all these songs, right?
Yes.
Okay, so in this one, she sounds like a down-home Stevie Nicks, but later on, it's just a Dolly Parton song.
Yep.
But this one, does have a bit more of a hippie vibe to it.
Yeah, it's all countrified, and which is funny because they started talking about San Antonio, Texas, but this takes place in California because the guy on the radio is talking about San Antonio, and I thought of Brad saying that he was like, I would rather eat a bowl of dicks than ever go to San Antonio, Texas again. Well, okay. He actually said that. You can quote him on that.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, we get this cool computer printout, freaking text scrawl here that I really did not realize was going to be important. That computers were going to be so important in this movie.
Listen, man, it's 1988. You got to be with the times.
Get with it. Hey, when Joseph Bronstein directs a movie, it's got all the tricks. So we meet, after watching him ride his beautiful motorcycle for a while, we meet Gerald.
Yes, Gerald or Charlie? Now, all right, so go with me here. Does anybody refer to him as Charlie in the early parts of the movie?
Not that I recall.
Okay, because in my notes I kept writing Charlie and then eventually turned it to Gerald. I don't know if it's just the terrible sound quality of the, poor VHS rip we're working with.
I'm pretty sure he was Gerald the whole time.
Well, until maybe he's Charlie, because there's another person allegedly named Charlie who's at some point. Yes. So it was very weird, very weird.
We also meet this cranky old motherfucker that he lives with, whose name I did not get.
Yeah, he's just like a general old man taking in drifters, right?
Yep.
Yeah, but he calls him old man, like my dad, but it's clearly not, because he tells us about his family later on. But it does present a little bit of a confusing situation. It is.
They're really cantankerous. They're bickering with each other, and all of a sudden, it's like he gives him a shirt, and he's like, "I love you, old man."
Yeah, exactly. It feels just like family.
Oh, God, it's so weird.
You hate each other, then you give each other a bad shirt.
Yep. And then, of course, we meet the most important Richard to hit the podcast in a long time. More important than I ever was. Barton Falks played Gerald. Sorry, folks. He was also in Future Kill.
He's so close to being Barton Fink.
Which I've never seen.
Almost,
he's the Falk of the Fink. But we meet Richard, who's played by Paige Mosley, who was in a bunch of weird shit. Nothing too exciting. Oh, Girls Night Out. He played Pledge number 1. What? That's awesome. I take it back. He's the best actor in the world. Important is that his name is Richard, and I love that when that happens on a movie, especially when he's a complete piece of shit like this guy. And also, his character's name, we find out later, is Richard Simmons.
Is it? I totally missed that. That's hilarious.
Oh, yes, his wife, it turns out to be Mrs. Simmons. I'm like, wait a minute. Richard Simmons? What?
I mean, in 1988,
what were they
can't
thinking?
Be accidental? I don't know.
Oh, my God.
He's a pest control expert.
Yes.
Expert in scare quotes. He rolls up to the old man's place where Gerald is staying with his many what does the old man call them? Confounded machines. All of his computers. And he calls out to him to come outside. He tells Gerald to stop playing with himself. And Gerald yells back, "Keep your pants on, I'll be right out." So I wonder, what exactly do these two do when they hang out?
They hang all the way out.
Because the pants are coming off later is the implication, I think.
Thank God. They go for a little drive because Richard's got some work for him and Gerald. And they start talking about the bar they're going to, and a barmaid named Maria.
And they sing a little ditty.
The Maria song, which we'll play here. But, ladies and gentlemen, we got a pair of good time Charlies here. Brad has coined this phrase for characters that just they like to have a good time. They like to just be themselves and just keep it real. And then we call them good time Charlies. And
that is the question of the movie, right? Is, in fact, Gerald a good time Charlie?
Charlie, all right?
I need to... we need to talk about this song they sing about Maria.
Fuck. Yes, we do.
I only decided to listen to it once and then not go back and listen to it again because I was so confused about the lyrics. It's not a long song. It has 3 lines. But I was very confused. So you help me out here.
Okay.
It goes, Maria, Maria, you're so sweeta. Wanna play with your tita?
I think so.
That is so stupid.
Oh, it's
boy.
very creative. How dare you? Don't be mean.
Stupid,
it's creative.
Stupid time, Charlie.
How dare you?
1, 2, 3, 4. Maria, 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 Maria. Oh, you were so sweet. Oh, you were so sweet. I like to play with your tita. Play with your tita.
So they sing us a song. And they go to the bar where the owner is reporting that there's a bad smell.
Yeah, I got a smell problem. So Gerald's just helping out with the work, Richard's work. They say that it might be a fish sandwich problem, which is
what?
Speaking highly of the quality of this bar's food.
I'm telling you, I wrote in my notes, never eat at a bar where the owner says anything is possible in regards to a bad smell in his establishment. Do not fucking eat there.
Gerald has a good line here where he says, I know the problem. Smells like shit. Which is not really a solution to the problem.
What a fucking great line.
He's not indicated anything. And I think another one of them says shit storage with a question mark after it at some point.
Oh, Lord Almighty. But they find?
Yeah, they find it.
They find a corpse. They find Maria.
She's rotting in the ceiling. Oh, Maria.
Ave Maria.
It turns out she was so sweeta, but also so deada. That's a Jalo joke.
They had to change the lyrics.
So sweeta, so deada.
Dude, nailed it. I love it. They find the corpse. There's a gnarly looking corpse. This movie has got some great freaking bodies in it, dude. They're gross and funky.
They're like well decomposed.
I love it. Things take a turn for the worse though when Richard starts talking about his wife.
Well, we do need to pause for a second to mention the sheriff. Is he a sheriff? Fuck. Or he's the police guy? Police guy.
My Lord.
Police guy is a term, right? Police guy. Because he shows up to the bar. And he's like, I heard you have a fish sandwich problem. No, actually what he says is he's speaking to the coroner who's like, yeah, this looks like, she was murdered. And he's like, yeah, it's a suicide or I'll cut you. He really doesn't want any sort of...
no, it's great.
He doesn't want these to be labeled murders until he just decides to start investigating them as murders. It's kind of weird. But he was introduced to us earlier in the film. We have a woman who has some piggy problems on a windy night.
Yeah, that's right.
She's a pig farmer, her and her husband, and she is being stalked in this scene and in a later scene by the wind. She discovers a pig head that's clearly been severed by the killer. But when the husband goes to this sheriff the next day, he's like, yeah, I don't care. He actually says, quote, go call somebody who gives a shit.
Oh my God. Thank you for remembering that scene. That's a great, great dialogue because it illustrates there's several kinds of actors in this movie. There's people who are probably from Spain, or Germany or wherever the fuck this people producing this movie were from. Mm-hmm. So they're speaking probably phonetically. Then you got people who are non-actors who we'll encounter a lot of in this movie. And my favorite are all the actual Americans who are just complete cheeseballs. Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is Fred Holiday, who plays the sheriff. And he was an actor in over 100 credits, lots of TV work. Uh-huh. Dallas, Matlock, Dynasty, frickin' Falcon Crest. It's all of the frickin'... soaps. Mm-hmm. But yeah, dude, just tons and tons of TV work, which is why he's so amazing in this movie.
Yeah, he's pretty...
He's Sheriff Frank.
Sheriff Frank. Oh, yep. Yeah. So yeah, we hear about, once they depart from Sheriff Frank's non-investigation, Richard talks about his older rich wife, Laura, who he married for her money.
Oh, fuck.
And he just hates her. We don't exactly know why. I mean, we hear that, at least in this scene, she'll get mad if he wrecks his car. So he hates her for that reason.
Oh my God.
They have some good lines, as in, not very good lines.
Yeah, it's creepy.
He says, Richard says, one of these days I'm going to fumigate her right to the moon. Hey. Yeah, Gerald's no help. He's like, yeah, that'll be a benefit to her.
Yeah, they are not good for each other, these two lovers, these men that are clearly lovers.
Well, that's
probably
the thing.
Have had sex.
He just needs to divorce his wife and get with Gerald.
Yep, it gets really crazy later. We'll get more into the Richard situation. So they go to another place to do some work on something else, and it's a little house by the lake.
Yeah, this is so vague. So they go to this guy. His name is Nebs. They go to Nebs' place, and they meet Nebs' daughters. One of them is Lilian, who we'll get to know in a minute. But first there's Susan with her bodacious tatas.
Yes.
Quote unquote, a real fox, who will be Richard's fling for the next hour or so.
Yes. Vague also, just what is going on.
I don't really know who this Nebs guy is, other than, because I think what they're doing, they're going there to pick up Richard's wife, who is like hanging out with Nebs.
Yep, on the boat.
And we find out eventually that Richard's wife is like Nebs' lover. But I don't really understand any of this.
No, I don't either, because she ends up with Jack Taylor later. She ends up with another dude. I don't know what the fuck is going on. But anyway,
is Jack Taylor not Nebs? Who is Nebs?
No.
Do we even see Nebs?
We see him from a distance. We never really see him.
Is Nebs supposed to be a red herring?
I think they just changed the fucking plot in the middle of the movie because Jack Taylor was like, "I'm not doing any more scenes. Mustaches. I gotta get my residuals from Pieces."
Well, Nebs owns another bar or something, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh my God.
Because Lilian, the younger daughter, is working at this bar.
Yes.
Which has an arcade. And she has a meet cute with Gerald, who is a huge arcade game nerd, which is perhaps not surprising. Mm-hmm. And Lilian is acting like she's from outer space during this whole scene. She role plays a sea monster, and is talking about how sea monsters don't have friends or dates. Oh my God. It's almost cute.
It's fucking nuts. It's just baffling what they're talking about. I love it.
What really doesn't jive for me is that he's being insufferable in this scene, and she's being cute flirty, and I have no idea why. He's saying oh, you wouldn't know anything about arcade games. Yeah,
it's like gamer culture in 1988.
Exactly. And
Gamergate 88.
He's all threatened over the fact that she claims to have the high score and nobody can beat her. And so the scene ends with them having at least on one side, flirtatious matchup on this arcade game that we don't see the resolution for. So,
nope. We'll never know.
Choose your own victor, I guess.
Yep. We cut to them leaving. Richard is driving and his wife's in the passenger seat. And good old Gerald's in the back, and Richard and his wife are arguing. And what's important about Richard's wife, it's frickin' Patty Shepard. I love me some Patty Shepard. So
I don't know if I know Patty Shepard.
Dude, she was in frickin' Crypt of the Living Dead.
Okay.
My Dear Killer. Mm-hmm. The woefully underrated. That's right, folks. I use the word underrated. Don't get mad. It's okay to say the word underrated, everybody. Glass Ceiling from 1971. I highly recommend folks seek that one out. It's great.
Yeah,
that's a Brad favorite as well.
Oh, she's in Slugs.
Yes. Man, oh man. I love her. She's so freaking wonderful. And she's great in this too.
And she plays, just by what IMDb is telling me, she plays, famous American author Gertrude Stein in Rest in Pieces.
What?
I mean, she doesn't. I mean, just a character named Gertrude Stein.
Oh, we need to watch that. We need to get to that. That might be that could be show material if Gertrude Stein's involved. But they're arguing, and it's such a freaking... it's like almost unbearably tense because Gerald is just sitting in the back freaking yucking it up during their freaking horrible argument. It's just weird. It's like these guys need to be separated, man. They're not good for each other.
No.
And there's this whole thing about how she's too old for him, and people mistake her for his mother when they're in public.
She doesn't look that much older.
What the fuck is happening?
I guess, how old is she? I mean, she might be a little bit older. 1959. So, there's a
20-year difference. Almost.
Yeah.
Hey, the blacker the berry, the sweeter the juice. No, darker the berry. What is the quote? What is the quote from Friday? Hello?
I've not seen Friday.
What? You haven't seen Friday?
No.
Well, it's relevant to this conversation, Jeffrey.
Is there a sequel to Friday called Next Friday?
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, pretty cool.
I just need to say that I really like when movie titles do that. When they play off like a phrase. Like I was very angry when "Now You See Me Too" was not "Now You Don't." That like still fills me with rage.
Oh, I can't believe they made a sequel to that. That fills me with rage. We're double raging here. We're like a Richard and a Gerald partnership.
Yeah. Well, you're Richard.
Common law marriage.
I'm more of a Lilian in spirit. I'm just a sea monster with no friends. Leanna.
I definitely have righteous tatas.
Oh, so you're a Susan.
I'm a Susan.
Okay.
We have more of Gerald romancing Lilian. It's wonderful. They're computerizing together.
They're interfacing.
Oh, dude. There's this whole thing where she has to hit the brown key, and I'm like, is that a euphemism?
I gotta hit the dongle.
She asked the computer. He's like, "Hey, ask the computer any question. Ask it any question." And she asked if he's gay.
Okay, all right. So yeah, when I was watching this, I forgot that that's what she asked, so I realized that any joke I could have come up with was not nearly as funny as that.
Is the reality?
Yeah. I do like that. He's been awful up until this point, but he takes that joke on her part very well, and they start macking.
Yeah, he's clearly not obsessed with his homosexuality.
There's some good lines in this scene. Just the whole description of how computers work is very funny. He doesn't say the word internet. Instead, he says central terminal.
Yes.
Which is basically like a local, like a LAN that can connect anywhere. It solves all of their problems. He gets her a Coke at one point, and we have the greatest exchange of young budding romance captured on celluloid. She asks him, "Is it called Coke?" "Yeah," he says. "Good," she replies. Those are lines of dialogue.
That was a product placement that Coke refused to pay for.
So it was very half-hearted delivery.
Yeah, it was weird.
Well, he decides to give her, because she really is taken by all these computers. He gives her his old computer so that they can chat over it. And that's going to be delivered. He's going to go deliver that to her house in a bit.
Oh my God. Computers, man. So we cut to a bar, and we meet a foreigner, a young lady named Rita. I don't know if she's supposed to be a foreigner, but her accent is adorable. And she is the town's, we'll find out in a bit, the town's quote-unquote prostitute. Mm-hmm. They never say she's a hooker, but she accepts $100 for sex.
She also works at a beauty parlor.
Yes. So she goes walking through the streets of this, bustling city that they live in, this tiny little town. She passes by the most pathetic hobo drinking in an alley by the train depot ever. He's drinking a bottle of old scooch or something. I don't know what he's got.
He should be drinking a bottle of Viper.
He's just sputtering, and it's just wonderful. I love little moments like that. She gets killed at this freaking train station by the killer. This is when I noticed the stabbing, that the killer is using an axe to stab and not to chop so much.
Yeah. Well,
Bizarre.
Yeah, he treats her like a piñata, really. But like it's like when you give a 2-year-old the bat, and you're like, oh yeah, hit it, you'll break it, and they can't even reach it.
Yeah, you gotta watch for like half an hour. It's fucking boring as shit.
That's exactly what this is like. This scene is very weird, though.
Oh yeah, it plays out really odd.
Because she is in this creepy back alley smoking a cigarette, lighting up. Somebody creepy is approaching her, and she sees who it is and goes, oh, it's you. You get one of those, oh, it's you, and then they get murdered anyway, scenes. But when you find out who the killer is, it's insane that she would just say, oh, it's you, and keep going. She should be much more alarmed by all of this. I mean, this is like, you're running into Richard Ramirez creeping through your window, and you're just going, oof, Dickie, you really startled me.
Hey, pal. How the fuck are you? Oh my god, it's wonderful. I hadn't thought of that. This is Alicia Morrow who plays Rita, who was in Exterminators of the Year 3000, Slugs. And
lots of slugs, folks.
Yeah, they love to slug it up. And something called Pulse Beat, where she played the Bat. And it's a movie from good old Spain about rival health club owners enter an aerobic competition to prove who is superior.
Yeah, it fucking rules. That's a great movie.
Oh my god, you've seen that?
Yeah, hell yeah.
Fuck. I want to watch that.
Naturally.
Oh my god.
I can't think of many aerobics-themed movies I have not seen.
Hey, it's your passion.
I live how I live.
So Sheriff Frank and his partner Sam show up at the crime scene, and there's also a railroad man. This railroad man guy is obviously an awesome actor they found at the local repertoire theater in this town.
Yeah, he's good.
But Sam, his deputy, is fucking incredible. This guy mangles every line he's given. It is so adorable. He is so not a professional actor at all. Bless his heart. I love it.
I like when he's really when the sheriff says that Rita was not cheap but worth it. When he's like, "Oh, you slept with her," and he's like, "No, not on a sheriff's salary."
Oh my god! And they're really yucking it up too about her death. Like, it's really fucking not cool, dude. I feel bad for poor Rita.
Still refusing to chalk it up to anything but an accident.
She was nowhere near the frickin' train tracks, and there's a bunch of blood all over the fucking place. Oh my god, I love it.
We then segue to a Dolly Parton speedboating montage with Richard and Susan's bodacious tatas. We have lots of scenes where people tell other people about the murders, and they're totally unfazed. He tells her about the murders here. And she says, well, it isn't you, right? And he's like, nah. And she's like, oh, I feel so safe.
Oh my god.
All of these moments just setting up our like half-hearted red herrings.
It's just great. They interview a guy named Broderick. Speaking of red herrings, I want to say this is Conrado San Martin, a Spanish actor. I think this is him that they're talking to. He's not, the character Broderick isn't really credited on IMDb, but he is so funny. Like, he's another one of those people who's kind of speaking their lines phonetically, and he's like really like doing the wide-eyed craziness and shit.
I mean, the entire scene, he is heaving in a threatening manner a small hatchet back and forth in his hands. Yes. And at some point, the sheriff just points out, like, yeah, she's killed with a weapon that looks just like the one in your hands.
That's amazing. And, this dude was in Lucio Fulci's Conquest. Holy shit.
He was doing a lot of hatchet heaving in that movie.
Wow. He was doing a lot of probably some fur-covered nunchucks in that movie.
Probably a lot of coughing from all the fog.
Yes. That's the ultimate sex fog movie right there, buddy.
Oh, damn. Yeah.
Oh, shit. Then we meet this really cool guy this like black dude who works for Nebs. They say his name like once, but he and frickin' Gerald are talking about this house. They're talking about Nebs's house. And he's like, the architect who built this house is crazy. There's so many rooms and so many doors.
Yeah.
And they talk about video games, and it's such a fucking fun character, man. I love that guy.
That discussion of the architecture never really comes into...
No.
I mean, the end of the movie is set in the house.
Yep.
So you'd think that maybe it had some relevance, but no, it really doesn't.
Yep.
But yeah, this guy's cool. He helps Gerald bring the computer up to Lilian's room.
Wonderful.
It does lapse into inanity at some point, this conversation, where Gerald, I think the last line in the scene is Gerald saying that Lilian is like a bird who loves electronic games.
Whoa, I'm getting Nightmare Weekend flashes here. Oh my god, love it. Lilian is playing around on Gerald's computer in this random scene that happens, like all the random scenes that happen in this movie.
Well, speaking of random, I mean, we do have another kill before that.
Oh shit, that's right, the pig death.
Pig lady, yeah.
Pig lady gets fucking myrtleated.
She gets
Did
myrtleated.
you happen to kept her name at all?
She's the pig lady.
Because you know that the mom who gets axed at the beginning of Pieces is in this too.
Okay.
But I think... Oh, no, that's not her. Never mind. Edit that part out.
Okay.
So yeah, that's another creepy freaking scene. I really like it. Although turning a light off does not mean the killer won't notice you. Like, the light was on when the killer arrived on the property, so turning it off would...
That shit doesn't even trick-or-treaters, you know? But yeah, this is the first time that, besides the opening, where we get another good look at the killer who does that. Here's Johnny through... Oh, no, I'm sorry. That happens later. But we do see the killer here. No, he axes through a door. I'm right. I'm losing
totally.
it. But he gawks at her very menacingly, and we get the VHS cover art. How would you describe this killer's outfit? It's worth talking about.
Sort of nondescript-y... like not quite a raincoat exactly, but like
it's
so, you know, and galoshes. I got big galoshes, and the mask is just hilarious. Like in some scenes, the mask is rubber, and in some scenes, it looks plaster.
Exactly, yeah.
And in one scene, it's just the CGI Michael Myers mask at one point.
The whole vibe of this killer reminds me of two things in particular. The classy example I'll give is it looks like Phantomas.
Ooh, nice.
From the 1964 version. Got that same sort of chrome dome and all black attire. Mm-hmm. The less classy thing it reminds me of is one of the boss villains in Resident Evil 2.
Oh, jeez.
There's this guy who's I had to look him up. His name is like not even a name. T-O-O. He's like a big hulking man who looks just like the Edge of the Axe killer in a trench coat. Worth looking up because it's really like identical.
I'm looking it up right now.
It totally does. Yeah.
What the fuck? Good call. Wow. You played a video game that one time.
I played one time.
Yeah.
I got the high score. Nobody can beat me.
Oh, you gamer cultures. So after this, Lilian is going through good old Gerald's computer, and she finds a list of crimes. It says, like, Gerald, list of crimes. It's got all the names of the victims and when they were murdered.
Okay, so this is actually she's trying to establish a connection, right? She's trying to connect, right? She's trying to connect to the central terminal thing, that magical internet, but it doesn't work. And then his crime file just pops up out of nowhere, because that's how computers work. Sometimes files just open up. Mm-hmm. He's clearly just a Reddit cold case detective, so she shouldn't really be all concerned about that. The important thing to notice here is that there is both a Daisy Duck cameo and a Dudley Do Right cameo.
Yes.
Those are
Dudley Do-Right is like front and center. It's like the biggest part of the screen. It's so funny.
Uh-huh.
I can imagine when the Blu-ray comes out how much bigger that will be on the screen. It'll be great.
So after discovering this crime list, she does the totally normal and rational thing of going out and having a very pleasant date with Gerald in the very next scene.
It's bizarre. We go to the crime scene real quick, and we see they're investigating the pig lady's murder. And Sheriff and Sam, they don't like them nosy reporters. And that's like the whole point of the scene was they don't want the reporters there.
Yeah, gotta keep it under wraps.
So yes, let's get back to the more important part. Lilian and Gerald. I keep calling him Gerard for some reason.
Geraldo.
His Geraldo. They are on this weird date, not finishing their cokes because the priest shows up. And,
because she sings in the choir.
Yes, and she asks him about his parents, and he won't tell her how he feels about his parents. She gets really creeped out because he neither feels love nor hate for his parents. He feels nothing.
Yeah.
They taught him to be independent.
Yeah, so he sounds like a real sociopath there.
Yes.
But this was all prompted by her telling him about her relationship with her parents, which is just as crazy. Arguably even crazier than his.
Yes.
So Susan and Lillian's mother died when they were young, and the dad sent Lilian away to a boarding school, and she didn't do very well there. In fact, she developed a mental illness. Mm-hmm. And her father's solution for that, after she was going to see doctors and being prescribed things to help her deal with it, her father's solution was no more pills.
Literally, no more pills.
They flushed them all down the toilet, and Lillian's all better now, she says. You know, he was the best doctor she's ever had. And she says the craziest line I could imagine. Quote, pretty sure she'd love her father more, even if her mother was still alive.
What the fuck?
Because that's how much she loves her dad.
Yowza.
So after they share all this information with each other, Lilian then finally gets to the asking him why he has a murder list on his computer. He responds by saying, well, I also have lists for all the automobile accidents and forest fires. Don't you like statistics?
Yeah, you're a weirdo for asking me, bitch. It's so good. Oh my God.
I think this movie is highly implying that statisticians like Nate Silver are definitely axe murderers.
Yes. I can attest to that.
Yeah.
So we go to the awesome choir practice, which is, oh my Lord, just hilarious.
Well,
it sounds like one woman's voice singing out of tune with itself. Like, it sounds like they just layered, like, maybe two women and layered it so there's tons, but someone is out of key, so the whole thing's off. It's so fun.
Oh, I know who's out of key. It's the cool punk in the Marlboro t-shirt.
Yes! Oh, my God. All it needed was an Asian girl in a Bee Gees t-shirt from frickin' Phenomena. That would have been great.
Church was just cooler in the 80s.
Yeah, it was. Dude, I'm telling you. Jesus is my friend. But yeah, Jack Taylor is the keyboardist / music teacher guy. Jack Taylor, man, I love this guy. So much fun.
He's looking old here.
Yeah. This was definitely later in his career. He's from Oregon originally, and immediately went to Europe and made tons of great shit. I don't think he ever came back other than to film foreign productions in the United States.
Yeah, it's like, well, this one was filmed.
Oh my God. Here's just a few things. Just a few. He and Jess Franco hung out a lot. So we got Succubus, Eugenie, Count Dracula, frickin' Female Vampire. Oh my God. He's also in the Vampire's Night Orgy, which I like very much. Ghost Galleon, Night of the Sorcerers, Mummy's Revenge, Exorcismo. So he worked with frickin' De Osorio. He worked with Paul Nash. He worked with Jess Franco. I love him.
Yeah, he's Dr. Jekyll and the Werewolf. Yeah,
classic. Holy shit, man! Oh man, so fun. But yeah, he's hilarious in this. We'll get back to him. He's got a very important scene later.
Yeah, he's real good on that organ. At one point, it sounds like he's practicing his best Dracula theme song.
And then it cuts off so abruptly when he realizes he has to go that it's like someone hit stop on the CD player. We cut to Richard and his glorious tatas, Susan.
Yeah, they're macking on that boat again.
Yes, they set this thing up like it's going to be this hot, steamy sex thing with them, and yet there's no nudity in this movie, period.
Yeah, which, I mean, again,
for Larraz.
We're talking about the Larraz here. We're talking about Goat Fucker himself. And he can't put a little bit in? No, he doesn't. This little scene, there's a few different scenes of Richard and Susan on the boat doing nothing except for like a little bit of light kissing. Mm-hmm. But this one is notable for Richard telling her to start up the motor on the boat, and Susan discovers one of those withered, decapitated heads in the water while she's reaching for it. And you know what?
What?
That's the only time on that boat that Richard ever gave Susan head. I'm going to make that a recurring joke where I make cunnilingus jokes.
Every episode, please.
Every episode. I'm going to find a way to do it.
Here's what I'll do. I'm going to give you a list of everything we're ever going to record, and you're just going to do a quick sentence about cunnilingus with a character's name from the movie, and that way we'll always have you in every episode, even if you weren't originally on the episode at all.
And I'm going to do, like, the joke is going to be, it's always going to be, well, that's the only time he gave her a head.
It'll be that specific.
Yeah, it's that specific joke. Yeah.
Oh, man, that'll just make it that much better when it works. And it will always work.
Yeah.
So we cut to the gossiping ladies. I love the gossiping ladies because you've got a combination of a foreign actress, an American cheeseball, and a non-actor. You got all three of the types of actors interacting with this.
The Triforce.
Oh my God, it's so good. And one of these ladies is May Heatherly, who was the mom who gets axed at the beginning of Pieces. She plays Anna Bigsby.
Yeah. Who is she? Is she like somebody important to this town? Like the first time when I was watching, I thought she was the mayor or something.
Dude,
because she was saying like our sheriffs or like my sheriffs. It was weird.
The more we talk about this movie, the more I'm going to overuse the word baffling. And I don't mean baffling like the construction style. The construction method. I mean literally, I am baffled by this movie.
Because she's rich. She goes back to a mansion.
Yep.
I don't know.
Oh my God. But she's married to her dog named Ricky.
Ricky.
She's got she talks about her dog Ricky, and then they show a picture of it just so we know she's looking for her dog. And I wrote in my notes, who is this lady? But she gets killed as well.
This is one of the more effective death scenes, I think, because she's being chased around the house. Or she discovers Ricky dead.
Poor Ricky. Which they showed him just long enough so they could only see the dog exhaling for a split second. They put a little blood on the dog's neck, and they're like, oh, there's Ricky, gotta go. And right before the cutaway, you can see him just quietly exhaling. I'm like, oh, Ricky, you're okay.
It's this is the most effective one, because at one point she has a gun. She has a shotgun, right? And she's blindly reaching around behind her to pick up some shotgun shells, and then the killer chops her fingertips off.
Yeah, he learned how to chop with an axe finally.
Learn how to chop.
Man, it only took 6 murders or whatever the fuck.
Yeah. So another one bites the dust. Yeah.
We cut to some more computer fun.
One thing we have not mentioned is that this is another scene of Lilian trying to communicate with, and she is successfully communicating with Gerald across the computer. Their voices over the web are just this bland male monotone.
Oh my god, I'll play that. Fuck yeah.
My favorite line is, this is Lilian typing. I'm depressed and I have a headache.
Oh my god, this movie.
I don't want to play tonight. Why not? I'm depressed and I have a headache. What's wrong?
So they get together, they stop having their chats.
Yep.
Their G chats, and they talk about something that's really been disturbing Lilian. And finally, there is a Charlie in the movie.
Yep, a good time, Charlie.
Well, he had a little bit too much of a good time. And now, for the last decade, he's been having bad times. Charlie is allegedly Lilian's cousin, who one day got in the swing that is on the property of this weird mansion with staircases that disappear. And Lilian pushed him too hard. He said, stop, you're pushing me too high. But she was like drunk on her pushing power. And she pushed him so hard that he fell off the swing and fractured his skull. That was 6 years ago, she says. And he is still in the hospital, a mental hospital. But he was possibly released. She's worried that he is the killer because she had a dream where he was holding an axe and smiling at her.
Yeah.
So there is our non-present red herring.
Mm-hmm.
Another one.
Like we needed more.
Yep.
Wasn't enough. Oh my god. So, I'm just getting confused now. I think we're now at the lake. Or no, we're at Anne Bixby, the woman who is married to her dog Ricky. We're at her house where the priest and the sheriff are talking about this crime. It's gibberish. I wish I hadn't written it down. Then
my notes get pretty sparse after until the end.
This is just bizarre shit. So there is a great scene. Speaking of swinging,
yes,
we get frickin' Gerald and Lilian again having another date. I think they have like 90 dates in this movie. They have 90 first dates. I don't know. And then she's pushing him on the swing. I'm like, they're sitting on a swing together, and I'm immediately panicking based on her story. Like, oh, they can't have a swing. I'm like, no. It's just they're not gonna do anything. It's just a swing. No, she immediately starts pushing him and losing her fucking mind. They flash back to her as a kid, pushing her poor bastard of a cousin around, and then she has a whole breakdown, and he's trying to console her. It is fucking great.
Yeah, she's real upset. She's upset that she called him Charlie. But, from my perspective, having watched this film, it's like, well, that's all right. Multiple people. That's his name, right?
And he's like totally cool with it. He's like, no, I don't give a fuck, dude. He actually says to her, I've called you other people's names. And I'm like, what? What?
My beloved Belinda.
You don't bring that up. I mean, you could get in trouble just saying you did it. The girl doesn't have to remember you did it. If you admit it, you're in trouble. Don't do it. I know how relationships work.
Here's the thing. I do want to point out, Lilian, the actress who plays Lilian, has only ever been in this movie.
Sad, dude. She's
good. It's a crying shame. I think she's great.
Yes.
She has I tried really hard to pinpoint it, who she reminds me of, and I can't really do it.
I have an actress in mind, but it's one of those people that I watched something with her recently. She's an actress that did a lot of work in the 80s and early 90s, and they have similar features.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it was her, but God help me, I cannot remember what frickin' movie. It's some rando 80s movie. If I can remember it, I'll throw the old computer to text.
She's very cute.
Save me.
And she's charming, and I wish she was in more. And she goes total gonzo with this at certain points. Spoiler. I mean, even right here when she's she drunk on that push power again.
Yeah.
She's just over the top.
We cut to the funeral sequence of, I guess it's that Bigsby lady's funeral, and it's all in fisheye lens, and we get all of the red herrings in a row, all the older gentlemen throwing dirt on the grave.
Except for one, because the first person to throw dirt is this like denim boy, all clad in denim. Have we ever seen this person before?
I don't know.
I don't think so.
He's rocking a Canadian tuxedo.
And while he's throwing the clump of dirt, a sexy saxophone starts playing.
And dude, the saxophone. So the dude who did the music for this movie, not super prolific, but this score, gotta say, this score is great. This is Javier Elorrieta. I'm probably butchering that name. But yeah, he did a lot of stuff, but not enough. Take out where I said a lot and just say he didn't do a lot. Just, Jeffrey, edit me for me.
Gotcha.
Thank you. But yeah, his score, this is a lot of fun. A lot of badass synth rips and rips. I don't know. Like farts. I don't know.
Rips.
So lots of cool synth. And that saxophone. Woo.
Saxophone.
Man, it happens a lot. We get the rain. There's a whole rain sequence, and
well, it's so that they can do some hot computing in the rain.
Yeah. Oh boy! And then we get to Mrs. Simmons. So Patty Shepard is meeting with her frickin' her financial advisor, who looks like Robert Fripp with like glasses on. It's so funny. And he told her, like, I warned you about investing your inheritance in these shady stocks. And she's like, well, how would I do? And he hands her a piece of paper, and she's like, I'm ruined. My husband will leave me because he only married me for my money. And it's like, yep, you married Richard. He's a fucking asshole.
Mm-hmm.
And this is just where the movie's completely insane now. We're dealing with a character that we barely remember.
Right.
And this whole thing about her inheritance, like her being rich, has nothing to do with anything. It's great. So she goes drinking with Jack Taylor, not Nebs. She's not drinking with Nebs. Nebs is gone. Mr. Nebs is now completely out of the movie, if he was ever in the movie. And they're drinking together, and he's like stroking her face. When she wants to leave, he actually finishes her drink for her. So they go driving away at night. She's drunk. He's passed out. And this is my favorite Jack Taylor thing. I think Jack Taylor missed his calling as a frickin' corpse in movies. Because he's acting like he's dead drunk, like falling on her, and she keeps pushing him. And every time the car jerks a certain way, he falls on her, and he's like distracting her. And that's why she wrecks the car, injures herself, and kills him. Presumably, our axe murderer put a tree in the road, but she was full on distracted by Jack Taylor falling on top of her. It's so funny.
It's a murder of convenience, really.
It's insane. Oh my God. So she goes off to like inspect the car. She comes back, and the killer has gotten rid of frickin' Jack Taylor and is just like hunched over the seat pretending to be him. And she's relieved that he's alive, but it's the killer. It's so fucking great.
And then,
and right when she gets killed, we have a smash cut to an axe cutting some wood. And I'm like, how has this movie resisted this until now? That's so great.
We did miss a scene before this.
Oh, please.
Because the person cutting the wood, of course, is Gerald.
Yes.
Well, there was a previous scene with Gerald and Lilian where both of them were soaking wet. But
the computer in the rain.
Lilian was snooping on Gerald's computer.
This is a great scene.
Trying to find info on quote-unquote dead Charlie, because Charlie might not be escaped. He might be dead. I don't know. That's what her father's trying to tell her. Old Nebs in the background. Well, basically what is discovered here is that every victim so far has worked on the psychiatric ward that Charlie is allegedly to have been on. So how about that? They're all connected. All these people from different walks of life. And what connects what really ties this room together, Gerald's room, is his Platoon poster, which is very prominently featured. Almost more prominently featured than Dudley Do Right.
Dude, it is distracting.
It's center frame.
It scared me. I thought there was a character that like watching from the background. It fucking freaked me out. Oh my God, I'm so glad you pointed that out. That's so funny. We see not all is well in paradise with Richard and Gerald. They're arguing because Richard's wife is missing, who he hated, by the way. But he doesn't mind that she's missing, even with all these murders going on. She's stealing from him, Jeffrey.
Stealing what?
He married her for her money. If she runs off with that money, she's stealing from him. His logic is that that's his money.
Mm-hmm.
I fucking hate this character so much.
He even says that Gerald has microchips for brains, which makes me love him all over again. No, he's still a fucking piece of shit. Good Lord. We get more choir practice after it's over. The priest is red herring it up now just because who knows, maybe the priest did it. I have no idea what's going on. I love it. Sam, the deputy, mangles more of his frickin' dialogue, and the priest tells the sheriff it's really macabre. Like, he's saying macabre, but he actually says macabre. So cute.
That is pretty cute.
Fuck. And then somebody is stalking Lilian, and oh shit, she has her own axe in the house.
Oh, convenient. Wonder
What?
how she had that.
Weird.
Yeah.
So of course the person stalking her is good old Gerald, and we're like, what? But of course it's not what we think.
Yeah, it's friendly
Gerald.
stalking.
Yeah, Gerald is not Charlie, as we've been led to believe. We've been misled. Gerald explains to Lilian and us that she is in fact Charlie. Dun dun dun.
Well, kind of. I mean, the real thing is that Charlie doesn't exist.
Dun dun dun.
So it turns out that Lilian herself fell from the swing. I guess she was, nobody was pushing her. She just got real high.
Drugs are dangerous.
Pumping
kids.
away. And she fell, hit her head, and suffered from psychoamnesia.
Yes.
So maybe they went on 50 first dates over the course of this movie because she has amnesia like Drew Barrymore.
That's why there were so many dates.
Yeah. So she had another diagnosis. She had encephalitis and was diagnosed as an acute psychopath, which I've never heard that term before. An interesting one. I hope that her doctors gave her one of those, I fell from a swing and all I got was this lousy acute psychopathy.
Oh my God. I remembered the actress that Lilian reminds me of. I had to look up a frickin' Murder, She Wrote Christmas episode.
Okay.
The actress's name is Corinne Bohrer, or Boer, depending on how you pronounce it. My buddy Scott, who's from Jersey, he pronounces it Bora. But she was in tons of stuff. She was in the aforementioned Murder, She Wrote, 3 episodes of that. She showed up on Friends on an episode. I'm trying to see what movies. She was on the pilot episode of Herman's Head. She was in Vice Versa.
Oh, she's in Joysticks.
Oh, God. I've never seen that. I've heard it's wonderful.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, she totally has the same vibe.
Yeah. Just a fun, quirky freaking actress.
I like
Police Academy 4, Citizens on Patrol, almost the Russian one.
Mm-hmm. So close.
Yeah. So close, but so far away.
Oh, yeah, she plays Veronica Mars's mom on Veronica Mars.
Oh, my Lord.
Yeah.
That's where I should have remembered her best, because I watched all that. Jeez. Oh, my goodness. So thank you for that tangent there. I'm glad you don't have a choice, because it happened.
I agree with you.
You can deny that it happened later. So yeah, we get this hilarious, oh my God, here we go, we're doing this, where Gerald takes the axe from her and then chases her outside when the cops show up.
Well, the funniest thing is that Gerardo.
Yes.
Gerardo doesn't blame her for any of this. It's just like, we could just start over. Just come with me. It's
I love
fine.
It. That doesn't work either.
Well, I mean, it's because I think he probably is just he's got a case of that acute psychopathy as well. He just maybe hasn't killed anybody yet. And he's just like, yeah, it's no big deal, whatever. But she just will not accept it.
No.
So yeah, he is chasing her and sure does look like a killer. And
black gloves and everything.
Your favorite character just shoots him dead.
Sam.
Yeah.
And then the sheriff yells out, Sam, no more.
No more. You got him.
What the fuck?
Good enough. Save your bullets.
So she gets a comforting hug from the sheriff, and we get an amazing freeze frame of her creepily smiling at the camera, man. It's great.
Yeah. The only thing that really didn't, that could have just put it over the edge for me is if her eyes
laser
gleamed cat eyes. Yeah.
Man. Get out of my head.
But actually, the best thing about these credits, not just the freeze frame, you've got this spooky, dramatic, drum-heavy music score that crossfades extremely abruptly to that Dolly Parton honky tonk song.
And the lyrics are weird.
Oh, they're so inane. The other night here in this town, something weird took place.
Oh, my Lord.
I love the chorus line is, hey you, where were you yesterday?
Indeed.
It's like Dolly Parton in a deerstalker cap.
The other night here in this town, something weird took place.
The only trivia I have about this wonderful movie is that the UK video version was cut by 26 seconds to tone down the axe murders because they didn't have a very salacious, gory cover. It didn't become a video nasty or end up on any banned list. They just frickin' censored a little bit. But really, it's like the murders are so awkwardly staged, except for the fingers getting cut off. That, I mean, what would they cut that would have bothered anybody? It's so funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude. So, how do you like this one?
I definitely. I think I texted you last night that it was way weirder than I remembered it being.
Yes. And you were not kidding.
And it's definitely all the small moments, the stray lines of dialogue that you miss. Like just in talking with you now, you clued me into a few lines that I just totally missed because they're so sort of like shot off. It's a bizarre one. And all of the sort of dead ends, the characters who are pointless. I appreciate it. It's not the most cohesive or entertaining. Again, I think like the last 20 minutes until the very end is kind of loses me a little bit. The momentum slows real down. But I like it a lot. And I did want to share with you briefly another thing I wrote in my blog post about it way back.
Yes, please.
That this movie does have a little bit of value, sort of prescient value, actually, in its use of technology. I wrote, quote, "There's an awfully surprising bit of prescience lurking in this bloody affair. It predicts the forthcoming effects of computer and internet technology on relationships. When weirdo computer savant Gerald, Barton Fox, gives Lilian a personal computer after they've started dating, things take a short trip to suspicion and e-snooping. Beyond their awkward chats to one another, read aloud by a proto-Siri, the couple individually scan the web for incriminating information about one another and browse each other's internet history without qualms. We also see an incipient form of computer-assisted dating selection on display. Lilian queries a program on Gerald's computer about whether or not he's gay. Ah, love in the age of dial-up."
My God.
So yeah, it's valuable film.
It's like a techno thriller. Didn't even see it coming. Oh, my Lord.
The first high-tech thriller.
Terror.
The terror film.
It's a real nightmare weekend. Wow. God, that's great.
So how'd you like it?
I fucking love this movie. This was one of those ones that had been accidentally avoiding because I could not find a decent copy of it. In fact, the one I sourced was also corrupted. The file itself, it stopped playing in the middle. I was panicking. I was like, fuck. But yeah, I love this. This is, Loraz just keeps on delivering even this late in his career. I can't wait to watch Rest in Pieces now.
Yeah.
I love the gore. There's some little snippets of Euro vibe goodness, folks. You listen to this show, you know I love the vibe. Just Euro slashers are just so great. The Europeans, they really just didn't know what we were doing.
Yeah, they really never fully figured it out.
No, they were like, these are giallo movies, right? And we're like, no, they're slashers.
They're much simpler.
We don't know what you're talking about. So they would release these Euro slashers and it'd be way overly complicated and strange. I think Michele Soave's Stage Fright is one of the only ones that really doesn't...
Yeah, he gets it. Yeah.
He's like, this, keep it stupid. And, like Escaped Lunatic. That's so great. What else? Super weird. The movie's really strange, overly complicated, perfectly freaking stupid. Likeable characters, some really unlikable characters, and lots of confusing bullshit. Yeah. Man. I can't wait till frickin' supposedly Arrow. You said Arrow is going to be dropping this one probably soon.
They are by the end of the year, presumably.
I can't wait. I'm going to scoop this one up, especially if it comes with my favorite Laraz, Black Candles.
You bet it will, which means I will own 2 high-definition copies of Black Candles.
I've seen it.
Yeah,
I saw it. I liked the goat scene, and the rest I didn't really relate to.
No, not very relatable.
I'll come around to it. I remember when we talked about Satan's Blood, that's why I was mixing it up, because I'd never watched Satan's Blood because I thought it was Black Candles. And then when we were talking about frickin' Satan's Blood, I was like, this isn't Laraz? What? So, totally mixing up the two films. But I love Satan's Blood, so who knows? Maybe one day I'll watch Black Candles and I'll be like, shit, dog. Word up. Oh, yeah.
This movie's the GOAT.
Yeah.
Love that GOAT.
So, sir, since we're recording this in the summer and we'll probably release it in 2025 after I finish editing it, what the fuck are we going to talk about next?
We haven't decided. Well, I sent you some suggestions, some requests.
You sure did. Let's open up those Jeffrey tapes.
Those
disc tapes that you sent me, a la the Kindred.
Yeah. Man, Brad's disc tapes.
I told you how every time we watch Grease 2, I think of you, right?
Yes.
Because the dude from the Kindred is in Grease 2. Man, DiMucci. All right.
I think The Dark Power would be a really good one to do.
All right, 1985, The Dark Power. We're going to do it.
You've not seen it, right?
Nope. I was mixing it up with The Power, the Lou Diamond Phillips movie.
Oh, yeah, I haven't seen that.
So, I think it's called The Power.
Lou Diamond Phillips.
The First Power.
That one's The First Power. The Power is the one that's actually by the Kindred people.
Oh, yeah.
That's the one with the idol thing that turns people into weird things. Yeah.
No, I'm thinking of 1990, The First Power with Lou Diamond Phillips, Tracy Griffith, and that old son of a bitch, J. Patrick McNamara. No, I don't know. I haven't seen The First Power since it debuted on VHS because it was on the new shelf, and my mom liked to rent the new movies.
Oh, the new shelf.
Yeah, so folks, next time you hear Jeffrey's sultry voice, we'll be talking about the first Powder film, The First Power.
I'm going to do the computer voice. The first high-tech Powder film. I am depressed. Also, headache.
Let's never watch Powder.
I have watched Powder.
The 90s were a bad time for everyone.
Particularly for anybody Victor Salva met. Yeah.
Oy, what a piece of garbage. Yeah. On that note, folks, if you're still listening, thank you for listening. If you bailed, I totally understand. Jeffrey, thank you for joining me on this Larazian episode.
Another fine piece of cinema, Richard.
Man, we'll meet back when we talk about frickin' Rest in pieces. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Let's hope it's one of his erotic ones.
Let's hope it's not rest in piss.
Let's hope that there's not a woman inside of a big golden horse about to be mounted by another real horse.
Dude, the odds are 50-50.
That's him, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Was that The Coming of Sin?
Coming of something.
I've read more about his erotic films than I've seen, so I act like a fucking expert. I'm a sexpert on his movies. Okay, now I'm really going to stop recording. Okay. Now that I outed myself as a sexpert.
Hello, This is the Doom Show is a proud member of the Legion Podcast Network. Please check out the other shows at legionpodcasts.com. If you want more of Hello, This is the Doom Show, check out doomedmoviethon.com or hellodoomedshow.podomatic.com. You can also follow us on Twitter at doomedmoviethon or email the show doomedmoviethon@gmail.com. We're also in the air. Look up.
My life fades. The vision dims. All that remains are memories. I remember a time of chaos, ruined dreams, wasted land. But most of all, I remember the podcasts. The man we called Witch. To understand who he was, you have to go back to another time. A time when the doomsday clock ticked ever closer to Armageddon. You can still find The Witch versus the Doomsday Clock podcast by searching for WYCH on Apple Podcast, Stitcher, SoundCloud, TuneIn, and on your Android device. Memories may decline, but movies live forever.
If you enjoyed this show, then make sure you check out the other great shows on the Legion Podcast Network, like Cinema Psyops, Cinema Beef, Devour the Podcast, Duncan and Bo Come Correct, Exploding Heads Horror Movie Podcast, Friday the 13th, Get Slayed, The Hellming Power Hour, Hello, This is the Doom Show, Hero Hero Go Show, Kill the Cast, Underwater Kaiju from Outer Space, Jerry Hates Action, Legion After Dark, Mental Health, Obsessive Cinema, Discourse, Pick 6 Movies, the podcast by The Cemetery, the podcast on Haunted Hill, the Psychosemantic Podcast, Rick Radio, House of Wax, Dude Looks Like the 80s, Rabbit and Red Radio, the Shadecast, Short Bus Cinema, 2 Drink Minimum Commentaries, the VD Clinic, Who Will Survive Horror Podcast, and Witch vs. the Doomsday Clock. With such a wide spread of shows, there is guaranteed to be a niche for you to fall in love with. Horror, politics, movies, books, sex, music, commentaries, health, video games, kaiju, action, news, comedy, and opinions that would most likely get you killed in some parts of the world. We are proud to bring you some of the best podcasting in the world. Check us out at www.legionpodcast.com, iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, YouTube, and any other dark corner of the internet where podcasts can be found.